This is the story of an old street light located on the main road of a village. At night, this was the only spot in the entire village that had light, and it was considered a bus stop. Vehicles traveling to the city would stop here. One cold winter night, a 10 or 12 years old orphan boy, hungry and bare feet with tattered clothes, came to this bus stop. 4 months earlier, his parent had died in an accident. Unable to pay rent, he had been forced to vacate the small house he lived in. For the past few nights, he had been sleeping outside different houses. But every time, people saw him as suspicious and chased him away. Tonight, he came to the street light, hoping no one would disturb him. However, his hunger and the cold were tormenting him more than his exhaustion. The boy shivered under the street light for 3 to 4 hours, unable to sleep on an empty stomach. A truck stopped nearby as its engine had broken down. The driver, who was on his way to another city with some goods and out to check the truck, and noticed the boy trembling in the cold. After fixing the truck, he approached the boy and asked, "Son, what are you doing here? It's late at night. Go home. You are freezing here." The boy narrated his story. The driver said, "Right now, I only have some food and an extra plastic sheet I used to cover my goods. Maybe this can help you." The boy's eyes lit up. The truck driver handed him the food and the plastic sheet and said, "I pass through here every night. Tomorrow I will bring you some old clothes and boots from home. Tonight manage with this, and tomorrow you will also get a blanket." Saying this, the driver left. The boy looked up at the street light with shining eyes. For the first time in days, he passed a somewhat peaceful night. The next morning, he set out to look for work. He started collecting scrap from trash heaps and selling it, but the little money he earned was only enough for one meal a day. At night, he returned to the street light, hungry and cold once again. To his surprise, he found clothes, shoes, and food near the street light, along with a note that read, "This is for the orphan boy. I am the same driver who met you last night. Today was my last day on this route. As the company has resigned me, I won't be passed through here anymore, so I wanted to fulfill my promise. This is all for you. I might never see you again." The boy read the note and silently thanked the unknown driver. That night, he slept a little more comfortably. The next morning, he resumed his work of collecting scrap, and at night, he found yet another package of food and clothes left by someone else. A note said, "We saw that someone had left things for an orphan boy here yesterday. Today we are leaving something for him too." Days passed, and people passing by continued to leave food and clothes near the street light. The boy began to consider the street light his home. He worked during the day and returned to the street light at night. Gradually, he developed the desire to study. Using the light of the street light, he started reading at night. Travelers and strangers continued to leave food and other necessity for him. Although many people helped him, the boy could never forget the driver who had first reached out to him. Over time, the boy grew up, found a job, and got a place to live. The street light, which had once been his home, became deserted. Slowly, people stopped leaving things here. Years passed. 20 years later, an engineer came to dismantle the same street light. As it was obstructing the road where a new roundabout was to be built, standing before the street light, the engineer's hand trembled as he remembered his past. For a moment, it seemed as though the street light spoke to him. How selfish you are. When you were an orphan, I gave you shelter. You got food here, clothes here, and study under my light. And now you are here to destroy me? If you dismantle me, and another orphan child comes along, where will he go? You know, there is no other streetlight in this village. The engineer began to cry, realizing it was just his imagination. In his hurt, he said, "Forgive me. Today my job compels me. I feel like I am making myself an orphan again." Soon the streetlight was removed. Later, the engineer built an orphanage near that very spot. Using his own money, every year he visits the orphanage, but no one knows the story behind it. That the first orphanage was the old streetlight, and its first child was this engineer. Today, everything in the village is new. There are many streetlights now, but no one remembered the old one except the engineer.